I'm Dr. Rabbi Larry Hirsch from Israel. Glad to be here after 2 COVID vaccines. Stay tuned, you're watching Taped with Rabbi Doug.
We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug on your TV tonight. But Daddy, I wanna watch Monday Night Football.
Forget about Monday Night Football. There's no other thing we're going to watch on Monday but Rabbi Doug.
Yeah, Rabbi Doug on TV tonight. We're going to see Rabbi Doug.
Oh, everybody talk about
Shalom and welcome to Taped with Rabbi Doug. We are here post-vaccinations, as they say, and I'm here with our medical expert and political analyst, Dr. Larry Hirsch from Beit in Israel, and I want to welcome you back to Chicago and say it's so nice. The last time we actually taped the show together, we did social distancing. I was on the other side of the room interviewing you, and it's so nice to be able to take off our masks and be able to talk to you today. Now, first of all, we are approaching now the 54th anniversary of the reunification of Jerusalem. It is the week of Yom Yerushalayim, and one of the things that is a wonderful thing of you being here now is we are post the 4th elections that took place in Israel, and Netanyahu once again is chosen to be leading the government. So I want to start out, first of all, just going to there and asking you, has Netanyahu actually put together a government that he can lead, or is this going to lead to another election again in a short time, which, of course, this is history for Israel. There's never been so many elections in such a short time. 4 elections in less than 2 years, right?
April 2019 was the first of this series. Can he put a government together? So far he hasn't. Will he be able to? Only the Ribbon Shalom knows. Only the good Lord knows. This has become a bit of a problem, obviously. How it's all ego. I mean, this is 100% ego. It's almost a breath of fresh air to see the United States having right fight left and progressive fight conservatives. At least there's some ideology. This is pure ego, because if you add up the parties, Netanyahu's right wing has a majority, but a guy named Gidon Sar, pure ego, I can't get along with this guy, so he takes his 6 or 7 seats, whatever it is, he takes his to the side with him. There's a government, but I don't personally get along with Netanyahu, so I'm not sitting with him. Lieberman, more than half, I'm sure, of his Russians are rightward politically, but he doesn't get along with Netanyahu. So it's all ego. It's disgusting ego. I mean, one nice thing to talk about is where ego didn't play a role, and that's Mafdal, or the Mizrahi, or the Kippot Srugot, the Nit Kippot, or what's now Smotrich's party, which was called Habayit Yehudi, now is a mixture of Smotrich's Ichud Lumi, basically Nit Kippot people, with Noam, which is more right-wing religiously, which is a very interesting party, and I'll get to that in a second, along with Ben Gvir, which everybody goes, the Kahanis, because again, labels are nice, and it's a big tradition going back to what destroyed the Second Temple. It's called Lashon Hara. They pulled it on Begin in the 30s and Jabotinsky in the 30s. They're just a bunch of terrorists, and this group, Ben Gvir's Kahana Kach party, whatever it's called now, I don't know, but they are very right-wing politically, also Kippot Srugot, and it was nice to see, and the overall responsibility for Smotrich rabbinically is Rav Chaim Druckman, who is a student of Rav Kook, Rav Tzvi Yehuda Kook, known as Rav Tzvi Yehuda, among the Israeli kibbutz Ragot. Rav Druckmann getting along with Rav Tau, which is the Noam party, is a bit of a story, and but that's a bit of optimism that three can sit together and not say, you don't think exactly like me, and my ego says I can't think exactly like you. Noam, I do want to, if it's okay with you, to sort of examine that party a bit. Their rabbi is Rav Tau, Rav Tzvi Yisrael Tau, and he's got a bit of a history, and it's good that he was able to join with Smotrich, because his bit of a history is not so nice. Also, split-offs. I can't get along with you. 20 years ago, Rav Avram Shapiro was the head of the Merkaz Harav Yeshiva, and he wanted his boys, his new rabbis, his new rabbanim were going out to teach in yeshivot all over the place, and they wanted, number one, it helped them to have education courses, a degree in education. The degree would help money-wise as well as tactics-wise of dealing with kids. And Rav Shapiro said, okay, we'll move in a mechina. The big battle was what in Hebrew, a mechina, an education school inside the yeshiva. Immediately, Rav Tau and his followers, you can't do that. A yeshiva is pure Torah, and you can't do that. We can't sit with you. And they split, formed a yeshiva called Har Amor. So the very fact that they're able now to come back, Rav Tau is a contemporary of Rav Druckmann. Rav Druckmann must be about 88 years old. Rav Tau about 85. I mean, there is even ego among rabbis. I mean, I'm very close with Rabbanim in Beit. Rav Melamed's Rosh Hashiva. He's an 80-year-old-ish former Rav Kook Talmud student. Rav Avihu Schwartz will make statements, and I heard him a lot. Hours and hours. Rav Tal thinks he's the only student that Rav Kook had, and but it's good that the three wings sat together in one party, and they are basically, I voted for them. They're basically saving the country, because at one point Netanyahu was willing to deal with Arabs in the government, or at least supporting the government. Rav Druckmann was.
Arab parties, you mean? Arab parties.
Arab parties. Strongly against it. And the Arab party that he's talking about is Ram, headed by Mansour Abbas, who the charter of the party is the State of Israel was founded as a racist Zionist project. Sound bad? It's worse. Mansour Abbas is a Muslim Brotherhood figure. He heads the Muslim Brotherhood in the south of the country, has made all kinds of pro-terror comments. And could you imagine bringing him in the government, having him sit on the defense committee, in the defense cabinet? But it's worse than that. It goes deep to the Rav Kook view. If you have a Medina, a state that's Jewish, that is Reshit Snichat Kulotenu, the beginning of the Jewish redemption, how do you have Arab enemies sitting in that government? I mean, it undermines the fact of what Rav Kook, the son, Rav Yehuda, believed, that this has elements of holiness, this government. You can't do that. And so that's where we stand.
In their views of democratic society, it has to be done. So let me ask you this, and just go off to the side for a minute to answer one other question. What's happening with the supposed indictment with Netanyahu and the cigars and the whole thing? Is that kind of put aside right now, or is that still progressing?
It goes on. He's put in the anti-Netanyahu crowd, which includes all these egoists that I mentioned before. Sar, Gantz, not Gantz, Likud, Gantz, the Liebermans. I can't get along with Netanyahu. They claimed, he's so busy with his court case, he can't run the country. But he's actually spent, I think, a total of 3 hours in front of the court. No, that putters along. It's a nonsense case. You can check Alan Dershowitz's writings about that. But what I do want to really talk about is this Noam party, because it's highly interesting. And it ties with Jewish history, Chicago Jewish history, and I've got revelations about Chicago Jewish history that'll probably knock you off your,
All right.
your seat.
Well, we have about 20 minutes or so. I would love to hear. Tell us, what is the connection to Chicago, and why is the Noam Party? Would it be interesting to our viewers and those who know Israel politics?
Okay, so the Noam Party, it's Rav Kook, basic Rav Kook. And
So the religious Zionists of sorts,
religious Zionists,
and people who wear kippah suga and the knitted kippah is part of their religious Jewish garb, and those who are, you would say, a shtickle, as we say in Yiddish, modern Orthodox.
yes. But Rav Kook's thing was, we are going to form a state. This is the father, Rav Kook, who arrived in Israel in Yaffo.
The first chief rabbi
Yes.
of Israel as well.
Rav Kook, yes, in 1905 he arrived, passed away in 1935, left HaYeshiva, Merkaz Harav, to his son, Rav Tzvi Yehuda Kook, who passed away in 82. But Rav Kook's big thing was, we will build a state with the Ben-Gurions, with the anti-religious even. And that's my main message. My own personal philosophy starts with davening. Notnim reshut zelazah, we say every morning in the davening after Yishtabach, give permission to these other guys. Reshut is a very deep word. It just doesn't mean only tolerance. It means I let him do things and act. This is from Ramatas Weinberg's explanation of Rambam in Hilchos Tshuva, Perek Hey and Zion. Sort of like, we give reshut, a fenced-in area is a reshut hayachid in halacha. You have your area where you can act and you are efficacious.
It's permissive. It's permissive for you to do so.
Right. It's permissive for you to do so, and it will be efficacious. God has given man to act. In other words, if the Nazi's going to shoot the Jew, God does not bring a curtain down and prevent the evil. There's no iron curtain between that gun and bullet and the Jew. But for good as well. And Rav Kook said, for good as well, we will participate with these people. Now, there's the Ben-Gurions and the anti-religious, and that's very deep philosophy, and it touches to the very definitions of good and evil, and getting the good out of evil, that there is a particle of good in every evil. Rav Kook has written about the Mapilim, which is very analogous. The Mapilim were in the desert with Moses, and they're going, and the spies have just come. God says, 40 years you're going to be sentenced to live in a desert, and the Mapilim are the guys who go, we're going in anyways. And the Mapilim was, in modern terms, in the 40s.
Without the ark, without Moshe's permission, we're going up to fight.
And in the 40s, after World War II, the Mapilim were the boats that took the people out of Europe to get to Palestine when the British were still closing the gates. And it wasn't just an accidental name. These are people with a deep drive. For good, Rav Kook said. And the be'imkei hanefesh, in the depths of their soul, they felt chemdat haaretz. Who felt Am Hashem, the love of the land, the nation of God felt. And Rav Kook, the father, he used his father's terms almost from Song of Songs, Shir HaShirim, Avat, the love of the land that waters, Mayim Amukim Lo Yechabuhu. Basically, the Jews are coming back. But the Mapilim were wrong, because God had said you're not supposed to go up. So it was evil. But there was a kernel of deep good in that. And that's what Rav Kook, the father, as well as the son, said. There's a deep kernel of good in there. We will join them and build a state. And that, the Noam Party, well, no, let's get on to American Jewry and Chicago Jewry. I'll give you a story. Something that probably only two people in the Chicago Jewish community know this. Rabbi Eichenstein, Rabbi Yeshua Eichenstein, the Ziddishover Rebbe from Devan, who's very sick and should have your prayers, of Rabbi Yoshua Heschel ben Shartza Babsha. He knows this story because he was a figure in it. Back in 1981, Rabbi Mesheloff was approached, not by me, and to put a minyan in KINS, a minyan with a mechitza in the Beis Medrash. The first mechitza that was in KINS. He said he'll put it in. After a couple of years, actually, I went to a shul meeting thinking I'll vote for Scott Mann for president, and he didn't want to do it for the third year in a row, and so they elected me president. So I don't know if I contacted Rabbi Aaron Ryan or he contacted me, but Rabbi Ryan's had just moved from Albany Park to West Rogers Park. He had a factory on Whipple. And he's called me in, he said, you know, there's people in the shul, they want to add on and patchki with this factory, make it look nicer. And Rabbi Ryan said, asked me, did I remember his shul in Albany Park? Gorgeous, huge building of the size of...
stained glass windows.
Stained glass windows, dome. Yes. He says, that's what I had. I don't want a patchki with a factory and waste money. I want to take over KINS, K-I-N-S. Rabbi Mesheloff eventually passed away. I believe he was over 100.
That's when Rabbi Greenwood followed him as rabbi
Yes.
at KINS after Rabbi Mesheloff.
So
He just passed away just a few weeks ago,
Yes.
few months ago, a couple of months ago.
Yes. So as a member of the KINS board, as being president now of the Mechitza Minyan inside KINS KINS, we decided on a program where we're going to approach the board and see if we could, as a trial basis, because KINS was, the population was going down of traditional people there. They were in trouble and eventually sold out to Rabbi Ryan Shul after he passed away. Rabbi Leonard Mateki took over KNS as rabbi, but this is 10 years before 1981, and the board okayed a fellow, a real tzaddik, Zichrono Livracha, Phil Masarski. There were very many negatives, but Phil pushed it through. Every once in a while we'll put in a mechitza in the big show, and we did that. And sometime around June, I remember because I was scheduled with another Chicagoan, Ira Pollack, Dr. Ira Pollack, and myself went off to Russia for almost 3 weeks for Shavuos. And I get a phone call from Rabbi Eichenstein on Divan. We've got to meet. And okay, don't meet me in the shul, meet me in a park. It's very important. Okay, go meet him. And he says that the Aguda Rabbanim of Chicago want to put that minyan in Cherem because you cannot have a mechitza minyan in a non-mechitza shul. And I was sort of flabbergasted, and we were talking about it, and he picked up from what I was saying that, hey, you're not calling the shots. Who's calling the shots here? And I reluctantly told him that it was Rabbi Ryan. He goes, well, who else knows about this? And I said, well, the head of the president of the CRC presently at the time was Rabbi Jack Frank. And he says, that's it. I go,
Also
that's
a
it.
blessed memory.
No, but nobody knows that. So he says, okay, I'll take care of this. Don't talk to anybody like you told Rabbi Ryan you weren't going to. Don't worry about it. And Rabbi Eichenstein squashed the cherem on that minyan, and that's maybe from a non-mechitza shul came good. The young Israel of West Rogers Park, Rabbi Prero is the rabbi now. So, but this example goes deeper than that. I was just reading Rabbi Zev Elif's book about the history of Orthodox Jewry in America, and he contrasts the old Hungarian Chassam Sofer, and even also Rabbi Shimshon Raphael Hirsch. My name's Hirsch, but I'm not German. I'm not related. It's Gershovitz from Poland. And he have nothing to do with the reform. And they were forced to do that kind of thing. But it's very interesting history. Back he quotes Rabbi Aleph from the HTC, from the Yeshiva in Skokie, quotes cooperation. 1867, Virginia rabbis, Orthodox and Reform, their head got together for proclamation. We have to strengthen Sabbath observance. Reform. We have to strengthen Sabbath observance. They get together. They cooperate on social welfare programs, on orphanages, on old age homes. So that's the spirit that should have happened. But Rabbi Elif puts together the post-World War II Jew from Europe, remembering that philosophy from Europe, came, and we have nothing to do with reform, nothing to do with conservative, we can't join them on anything. And actually, you can see how successful that was in Europe. Was that the problem? Ema Benim Smecha says, very yes it is. They wouldn't get along together, they wouldn't go to Eretz Yisrael, and they ended up with the Holocaust. So my position is, it's a wrong attitude. Rav Kook's position, it's a wrong attitude. And I know it's also very interesting. Just a sideline. You know, they'll quote all kinds of things. Those who say we can't deal with together, Orthodox and Reform. They quote even Gemaras. Yoshaphat, the king, got in trouble because he joined the king of Israel. He's the king of Judah. He joined the rotten king of the Israelite kingdom. But that was war. War is something else entirely. War in Jewish philosophy is Yehuda Maccabee, I'm going to go save Ramot B'Gilad against, I think it was Theodorus, and I've only got 5,000 against 50,000. It doesn't matter. The numbers don't matter. That's the Hashmonai Maccabi spirit, right? And that's not just the Maccabim of Hanukkah. That's Yehonatan, King Shaul, Saul's kid. They got a whole Plishtim army, Philistine army. Me and my standard bearer climb a hill. You can even go there today in Michmash. I've done it with the kids. And Yonatan, two guys rout with a surprise attack, rout the whole Plishtim army. So the proofs are no proofs of not dealing together. War is a totally different story. It's a totally different story than an orphanage or a federation or whatever. Okay, so that's that, and that brings me to a deeper element of what Noam stands for. One of their big parts of the platform is the state of Israel, like America, is in a war of traditional morality. Gays, marriage, all kinds of institutions under stress, under war, really, being embattled. And I heard Rabbi Barry Frindell in the 80s, before he turned a little crazy, he was the head of the School of Social Work for YU in the 80s, and he said, do not throw the gays out of our institutions, like Rabbi Zeldin put an egalitarian minyan in his Orthodox shul. Well, like Kins put was non-traditional, but eventually was traditional, became Orthodox. That get together. So his thing was, do not allow them to form their own institutions, shuls, the gay shul. He said, but it's deeper than that. Do not let them identify with their sin. Identify good and evil, and just like the Mapilim were basically evil, but parts of good in it. Do not let them identify, that form their identity based on their sin. You're not a gay person, you're a Jew, an unlabeled, not reformed Jew, just like the Bavitch says, you're not a reformed Jew, you're a Jew. Do not let them identify with the sin. The sin is not them. They're a Jew. Who does a sin? I may be a thief, but you don't form a shul that whose name is Rodfei Gezel. Mm-hmm. The Madoff shul, the guys who pursue thievery. Yes, he also passed away recently. So, but the point is, to bring everybody under one house, the Beit HaYehudi. Well, that's what Noam has done, thank God. That's what the Ben Gvir has done. That's what Smotrich has done. And if Notnim Reshut, and it's not easy. And you hear about this Jewish unity, but you have to be able to sit under one roof, and then you succeed. Jewish history says that, even from Nach. That's why the Israelite kings were so successful, because for all their evil, everybody got along together. And American history, like I said, shows that it could be done, and hopefully it can continue to be done.
Very nice, very nice. Just in our last couple of minutes, can you just tell me, Israel has been the most successful COVID transformation in a society with the vaccines and people being able to open up and be on the streets again, are they still wearing masks on the streets in public? Is that still a law like it was? And what do you as a doctor attribute Israel's success compared to other countries?
God. But, okay, number one, I've talked over this, Rav Schwartz, I mentioned Rabbi Schwartz earlier. He's a Rosh Hashiva in Beit. I've talked with him. I go, what is going on here? Kfuyi Tova, ingratitude, and being a Makar Tova is a basic institute, so basic to living in Eretz Yisrael that Bikurim, the institution in the temple, which was for the kesher, this deep kesher between this Am Hashem and its land, the whole idea of being Makar Tova, of gratitude. Nobody's showing gratitude to Mr. Netanyahu, who forcibly went in there and begged from Trump and Pfizer and got millions of vaccines. That was the first thing. The man, Netanyahu, should be winning and every election just based on that. So number one, the good Lord is protecting Eretz Yisrael. Number two, you have to Makar Tov to Netanyahu and Trump. And number three, no, we do not wear masks out in the street as of 2 weeks ago. We had severe lockdowns, which were shown each time we did it. Certainly knocked the viral numbers down. I mean, right now we've got 1, 2, 3 people dying. We have a population a third less than Illinois. Our Illinois' heights were 160 to 197 dying a day. Our heights were up to maybe 30, 35 a day. People didn't only die, people were maimed. Hadassah Hospital, where I worked last week, Sunday to Tuesday, alone formed a new chronic ventilator unit. 70 people who could breathe before will never breathe again without a ventilator. Shipped them to Nazareth, set up their own institution. So it's a deadly disease. It's a maiming disease, and we beat it basically with the vaccine. As soon as a month ago, when the vaccine really kicked in, we were at about 60%. Now we're up to past 70% of people with 2 shots. That's the way to beat it. The argument is overwhelmingly tetanus has treatments. Haemophilus influenzae, I was a student, it gave deadly meningitis to kids despite amoxicillin and ampicillin, and we finally got a vaccine, and that's what stopped it. I was at Children's Memorial, dozens of kids hospitalized in the 70s when I was a student, stopped. So yes, you need both the antivirals and the vaccine. It's the vaccine that did it.
Wonderful, wonderful. I can't thank you enough. Short show because you have so much to share. I want to thank you for being with us, Dr. Hirsch. I want to thank you for being with us. Remember our website, www.tvrabbi.com, where you can also see former shows with Dr. Hirsch, actually, or Dr. Rabbi Hirsch, whichever way you want to address him.
I like Dr. Rabbi.
Our email, info@tvrabbi.com. If you want to send an email to Dr. Rabbi Hirsch, I will forward it to him, and I know he'll get back to you personally. Hope to see you next time, and hope to see you again very soon, right here on Taped with Rabbi Doug. Shalom, everyone.
And I'm talking about Rabbi Doug. Talking about Rabbi Doug. Talking about Rabbi Doug on your TV show. Well, he's the rabbi for me. Anytime you need. You're gonna get married or you're gonna die. Gonna see Rabbi Doug. Gonna see Rabbi Doug. Gonna see Rabbi Doug. Gonna see Rabbi Doug on the TV tonight.
This has been a Taped with Rabbi Doug production.